Welcome to the Discotheque Podcast, where we will review every episode of Discovery Season 3 as it airs each week. While we're waiting for the new season to begin in October, we are going to be reviewing Season 1 and Season 2. I'm your host, Marcy, and I'm joined by Rachel and Lewis. Welcome to Episode 2.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, so this is our second bonus episode where we're going to be reviewing Season 2 of Discovery and summarizing where we've been before Season 3 comes out in just, I think it's 15 days. So.
I can't wait.
Yes, 2 weeks.
Yes. All right. So I just want to give a shout out to Hannah, who was one of the two people who organized the group chat where we all kind of became friends. That was you, right, Lewis and Hannah kind of came up with the idea together. You approached me and said, do you want to be in a group chat? And yeah, and that was kind of...
You asked me.
And then I asked you, yeah. And that was kind of the first group chat that I was in as part of the Star Trek fandom. So that was really nice.
Yeah, I feel it.
Me too.
Yeah. So, and I just want to ask people too, if you like what you're hearing, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and remember to hit subscribe. So with that, let's get started recapping Season 2. Let's start with our favorite relationships in this season. My favorite relationship, I think especially in the first part of this season, is between Burnham and Tilly. When Tilly's going through all this stuff with May and she feels like she's losing her mind, she finally breaks down and tells Burnham about it. Michael listens and isn't just immediately dismissive. Like you would be afraid if you're going to tell somebody something that sounds insane that they're going to dismiss it and, or just be like, you need help. But she just sits down and immediately starts problem solving. And I love that scene between the two of them. So I really felt like their relationship grew in this.
Yeah, I really like with about Burnham and Tilly, like when she comes to talk to her, Burnham like thinks about it seriously and she's the one who realizes it. She's like, oh, it can't just be in your head. She doesn't know what crying is. Like that's...
Exactly.
You would.
Yeah, there's so many great relationships in this one. What's your favorite one? If you had to pick one, I know we don't like picking favorites, but Rachel, if you had to pick one.
It's really hard, but I actually would say like Pike and Michael. Because I really like seeing the how different her Michael's relationship with Pike is than Lorca, because it doesn't have the weird tinge that Lorca's always had that you then discover it's because it was supposed to have a weird tinge.
Right.
But he still respects her and still sees how valuable she is, but he's not really weird about it.
Yeah. He trusts her. And I love that scene in the beginning where he asks her, where are the chairs? And she's like, we don't have chairs. He doesn't discuss anything.
He's like, I don't like this.
Right. And he does get chairs. I noticed when I was watching it on the rewatch, he furnishes the room. Yeah,
he gets chairs and a Western motif.
Yes.
I remember that I wrote that on Season 1, they tried to give Lorca a chair, but it didn't work because I think the room was designed in such a way that having a chair was uncomfortable. So they decided, okay, Lorca it's like this different captain and he's going to be standing up all the time. So
it is.
For Season 2, I
really
think they changed the room and they could put a chair finally.
It's so different than Captain Picard. He has a full living room basically in his ready room. It's super plush and comfy.
I know. There's always the joke, and I was like, why does the Enterprise carpeted its face?
Yes. The bridge looks like a living room.
Yeah.
And they're very comfortable.
I mean, have you ever seen that guy who made a TV room that looks like the bridge of the Enterprise?
They're explorers. They're not at war, though. They're just going to ride in comfort.
It's very true. Honestly, that seems like the best way to ride.
Yes. We're going a long way. We should be comfy.
Yeah. Except if you're Worf, because you have to stand.
Yeah. I always felt bad for him, though. What about you, Lewis?
I think my favorite relationship is Spock and Burnham.
Yeah.
Because we finally get to see more about Spock. We know a lot, but that part of his childhood we never actually saw. So
Yes.
for me, it was very interesting to see why they broke up. Let's say why she's so afraid to speak to him again.
Yeah, and I think you almost get the impression that what she said to him was bad, but I don't know if it really would have warranted quite the fallout that they had if his emotions hadn't been so suppressed and bottled up, if he'd been able to deal with it in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think that's true, but because of trying to act like he's fully Vulcan when he's not is, well, here's just the thing for people, deal with your emotions. It's not good if you don't.
And it's gone on for years.
But yeah, I was going to say, I also really like their sibling banter is so good.
Yes, the beard.
It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Spock's banter with McCoy is because of his relationship with Michael.
He has sibling experience.
Yeah, I guess there was Cybok before, but the show doesn't seem to talk about Cybok, so.
I feel like there was this whole fandom thing, and you can still see, even though I came to fandom later, I still see echoes of it that people didn't like, that Spock was different than the original and he had this new backstory, and why did he never talk about his sister before? And I'm not worried about any of that because I enjoyed it. It's kind of like, well, they gave us a new story about a character that we already loved, and I see it as a good thing.
There's definitely some of that, but my joke was always, I was like, there's precedent of this. He never mentioned Cybok. He just doesn't talk about his siblings. It's a weird character choice, but it's there. It's been around for years.
Right. And they do kind of give you the reason at the end of the season that he's not going to mention her again.
I feel like if Michael came up, it would be like Audrey's just like, oh yeah, I grew up with this human girl. And people would be like, what?
Right.
Where is she? The future.
It gets awkward. So, honorable mentions in the relationship category, I have to say Saru and Michael. It was even more fleshed out for me. I started reading the novels that go along with the Discovery series, and they have this super competitive relationship where they're trying to both be promoted under Giorgio. And then to know that much animosity existed between the two of them, and then to see how Michael was the one that he chose to be with when he thought he was dying, and to hand her the knife was just really touching that they came that far in their relationship.
I feel like it's also like very sibling.
Yeah.
Like with those two, and it's really sweet actually, like that scene.
It really is. I cried.
I was just watching my DVD, and there's a deleted scene with them that was so sweet, and they were talking about how they were like concerned Tilly might be like pushing herself too hard, and it like wasn't important for the episode. I get why it was cut. I was just like, oh, I just love having like one more scene with those two together,
working together. Yeah. Another relationship that we really didn't touch on when we talked about season 1 is Burnham and Tyler. We kind of talked about it and kind of glossed over it a little bit, but it's kind of maybe a controversial ship. It's one that I didn't really personally ship when I watched it the first time, and even less so the second time around. It just doesn't seem like they're meant to be.
I was talking to someone, they're like, oh, so you don't like Ash? And I was like, oh no, I like both of them. I just don't think they should be together.
Yeah, I like them, but I don't like them together.
I don't mind when they're just like friends, like that's fine. But I feel like maybe that was like, there's too much drama here. I don't think I quite ever got the feeling. I was like, really? They're supposed like, they don't have enough chemistry for me, like romantic chemistry, because they act well together.
Right.
For me to be like, yeah, they're star-crossed lovers, and it's tragic that they can't be together.
Right.
Maybe it's like modern romance. I think they meet, they fall in love, but they are not meant to each other from the first time, I think.
Do you think he's going to come? Like, do you think we're ever going to see him again, or is he gone?
I assume he's gone from Discovery, but I feel like he could show up on some of the spin-offs.
In Strange New Worlds.
Maybe Section 31.
Oh yeah, that would be a better fit.
I think it would be a good fit, because I don't because Giorgio went with him to the future, right?
Yes.
So I'm confused about when Section 31 is supposed to take place, unless she alone goes back to the past.
I have the feeling that Section 31 is going to be tied to the end of this season 3 of Discovery. And that is...
I could definitely see that.
That is why we know nothing. We know nothing about it yet.
That's a viable theory.
Yeah, that's a good theory. Because I was like, how have we not heard anything? Because we've seen more of Strange New Worlds than we have the Section 31 show and Strange New World announced years later.
Yeah, the series is as secret as Section 31. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a really good observation.
Because we only know Giorgio is going to be there and nothing else.
Yeah.
One thing about Giorgio and Section 31, I don't know if you remember the episode when we meet Dr. Burnham, Michael's mother. She says to her something like, I thank you for what you did about my daughter. Maybe she's not talking about the present, but she's talking about the future.
Oh, maybe so.
That is true. I mean, when she talks to Pike, she's definitely talking about the future. We just happen to know what Pike's future is compared to the other characters.
So there were some new characters brought in this season. Obviously, Pike and Spock.
Leland was new, too.
Leland and Jet.
Yes.
Which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Nan.
Yes. Oh, and Lionel. I love him sneezing on everyone.
Oh, yeah. The little blooper reel where his little mouthpiece fell out. I can't watch that scene now without thinking of the blooper reel. Like, it's ruined me.
I did have a friend who liked the show, but he was like, did Linus go with them to the future? That's the most important question. Will he be in season 3? I was like, I don't know, but I hope so.
It's really the most important question.
Yeah.
I think he did, but I'm not. I don't have proof, but I think he did.
We'll find out soon.
2 weeks.
Just on Pike. I love Pike. He has that line. He really he tells Michael that they're going to have fun. I feel like he's telling the audience, they really kind of broke the fourth wall on that one, that we are going to have more fun this season and it's going to be lighter.
Yeah.
You can kind of feel it in the tone of the first one, but then he basically just tells you, in case you haven't noticed, we're going to have more fun this time.
Yeah. I also did appreciate the roll call of all the people on the bridge, for the bridge crew.
Yes.
Because they do not say their names quite often enough.
Yes, it's true.
I think that's definitely for the audience. Maybe you didn't watch all season 1. Well, this is season 2 and this is us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also thought it was like a good character moment in that he actually cared who the bridge crew was, where Lorca definitely did not.
Oh no, Lorca didn't care what their names were.
He was like, this one is good for the spore drive.
Yep.
I want Michael, and Ash Tyler's here because I picked him up on a planet.
Yep. There was a line that went along with that too, because he just said, just say your names, leave out the ranks. They don't matter right now. And all I could think of was that part in Lower Decks where the character is like, but rank is the most important thing, always. It just cracked me up.
But yeah, I adore Pike. I have like a sticker. I have stickers on my laptop, and one sticker has a Pike quote on it, which is the "Be bold, be brave, be courageous."
Yeah, I love that quote.
He's fun. And he's so good and wholesome.
He's up there with my favorite captains, like Starfleet captains, and I have like one season of him.
I know.
But
he just climbs right to the top in one season.
Because I always described Pike before as, Pike seems like an interesting idea for a character, but they haven't done anything with them. And then like one season of Discovery, and I'm like, I need Pike stuff now, please.
It's even retroactive. I went back and watched the J.J. Abrams movies after watching. And the first time I saw them, I was like, Pike, oh, I recognize that name. And then now I'm like, it's Captain Pike.
Yeah.
Different actor, but totally positive associations with him now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just watched, my husband and I just watched Into Darkness, and I was surprised how much I loved it.
I love all of them.
I wrote down this line as I was rewatching it that Captain Pike said when he looks at Tilly and he's like, something like, what are we going to do? And he's like, marry some folks, even if they're not that into each other. And she's like, is he serious?
That is, I do love that joke. Like, I do love, because I was like the dad joke of it.
So they picked up Captain Pike. They saved Jet Reno from the wreckage of the Hiawatha.
Yay!
And her introduction is phenomenal. And just every scene she's in, I wish she'd been in more. And she went to the future with them, right? So
yeah, she definitely did.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to see more, which is excellent because we did not see enough of her. Yeah.
It's like part of me is like, I understand that Tig Notaro is not a main character and like is busy, but also more please.
Yes. Okay, but can we still have more? Because
Yeah.
she's hilarious. Like that part where she tells Stamets, she's like, I'm uninsultable. It's like, that is life goals right there. Just to not care. She's great. So then we have, let's see, Michael sees the Red Angel in that episode for the first time. On the in the wreckage of the Hiawatha, find out that Spock is in a psychiatric hospital, and Tilly starts seeing May. Then Pike orders Michael to steal his medical file, but then Amanda ends up bringing Spock's medical records when she comes. So then, let's see, we have the plot line with Laurel and Ash/Voq, and we find out they have a baby.
They do. Rewatching it, I realized I'd forgotten that, like, they say, like, the baby was, like, not, they put the baby in, like...
It was gestated outside of utero, which she says that's why it's so small. And I had to laugh because I was like, that's not a very small baby. How big are Klingon babies normally?
To be fair, we haven't really seen them. It does seem like Klingons would have big babies. Look how, like, fast Alexander grows up.
That's true.
Like, I think... Like
enormous.
Yeah.
I need a canon answer on this now. Like, give me a average Klingon baby size.
Yeah. I guess Alexander wouldn't, because Alexander's part human, so Alexander wouldn't be the average.
Yeah, that's true.
So wait, if Alexander's part human, he grew up that fast.
So, because we think he's an adult already because of some time manipulation, but maybe that's... Yeah, it's not that much.
Pike doesn't know how fast Klingons grow up.
There's more to be explored here. I need a canon answer. So Saru goes through the Vahara and he lives.
Oh, yes, because of the spear.
Yes, and he lives through it, which changes everything for him.
Yes. I was showing a friend recently that episode, and she is really into like special effects makeup and stuff, so she loves Doug Jones. And in that episode, she actually turned to me and she's like, I need you to tell me whether he actually dies or not, because like I'm about to cry. And I was like, it'll be fine. Just watch.
I was crying when I saw it the first time, especially because, okay, he gives Michael the knife, and I'm just thinking the whole time, I'm like, we're kind of jumping the gun here. Like, let's really make sure. We're kind of taking some guesses. Let's make sure. And then she says that line. She's like, do we need to do this? And I remember I was like, yes, do we? Is it really essential that we do this right now? So that whole scene, and they acted it so well that you go on that emotional journey with him.
Also, we didn't know if he's going to die or not, because we had in the past, they kill a character, so...
It's true.
Yeah.
And I remember I was thinking at that time, like, nah, they are not going to do this again.
I thought he was done for. This is it. This is the end of one of my favorite characters.
And then they did it with Ariam.
Yeah, they did. I feel like they should have invested a little bit more prior to the episode where she died, because as soon as they started really investing in her in that episode.
Oh, I was like, oh, you're not long for this world.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was like, I watch enough TV.
Yeah, and so that kind of followed just a television trope that as soon as you start over-investing in a character you've never paid attention to before, you know that they're a goner. So it was a clue to the audience, and it was sad because there was so much there that they could have explored.
Also knowing, like, we had just seen, like, Ariam get, like, hacked. So you're like, oh, yeah, she was going through that thing, and now we're, like, showing all her memories, looking all sweet. Just not good for her.
No. So, the parasite takes Tilly to the mycelial network. They find Giorgio on Spock's shuttle instead of Spock. And Section 31 sends Tyler to Disco. And then the Discovery jumps into the network halfway to get Tilly back, and they find Hugh.
Yay!
Yay! Little cheer. So that was definitely a really emotional part.
Yeah, their storyline.
Yeah, their story gets dramatic as
just to reintegrate into being alive.
Yeah, as he gets used to being alive again, which seems like it would be quite the adjustment.
It does. I just want to say the mycelial network is probably one of the prettiest set pieces. I know it's like it's not really a set, probably mostly green screen, but it's so pretty.
It is.
What I like about that we got Hugh back is that there are consequences. we are going to watch a character grow, but we don't know how it's going to grow.
Yeah. Like, I do like that it wasn't just like, he's back and everything's fine now, and we don't have to think about the fact he was dead for a while.
Right.
I was curious since I wasn't necessarily surprised when he came back because Wilson Cruz was considered like a main cast member.
Yes.
For the second season. Like, he actually got like a promotion. And I was like, well, I guess he must be coming back. But I was curious whether either of you were surprised.
No.
I was surprised, but I also was not reading anything else about it at the time because I binged it after the fact.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
I was very surprised. And I didn't think, when they were talking about the monster, I thought the monster was going to be just the fact that they kept using this network to jump.
Yeah, it's like when I was recently showing that episode to a friend, she's like, the monster's obviously Stamets. And then I was like not saying
That's what I
anything, and I was
thought.
just like, she's so close. Like,
Yeah, it's something they did, but not Stamets. So then Discovery goes to Kaminar. Pike ends up triggering the Bahari in all Kelpians.
just going full on revolution. Viva la revolution.
And we're not as worried as we were about General Order 1 at that point.
I think they said that it didn't necessarily apply because they've already been exposed to the Baul,
Yes.
who are
And who were-
spacefaring, warp capable. So they are aware that is possible.
Okay.
But at the same time, like, Pike didn't contact Starfleet, like,
Yeah.
asking what to do. Like, well,
Oh, it's definitely dicey. Like it's not. He gives an excuse, and I'm like, I'll allow it because like they've been subjugated for a long time, which is funny because that's not. I was convinced when originally watching the episode, I was convinced that they were going to turn into Baul. And then I saw a Baul and was like, probably not, because that looked expensive to have on screen. So we turned into that, which I think the Baul might be like the creepiest alien, one of the creepiest aliens I've ever seen in Star Trek, though.
yes, but very well made. Like an alien that it's an alien and not someone with a costume.
I think they took advantage of the fact that they didn't need it for a lot of screen time and could be really creative with it. You can't have if you make a completely CGI character, they're either not going to be on screen very much, or they're going to be kind of cheap looking.
Yeah.
Which I remember reading somewhere that originally they thought about having Saru be a CGI character and realized how expensive it would be.
I'm so glad they didn't go that way.
Also, I think Saru's makeup is one of the best creature makeup I've ever seen.
It's true. The Telosians definitely got a nice sort of Instagram filter over their
Be
look.
fair, I think that's probably the best way to upgrade that look from the 60s.
right?
There was I don't know, there were some wires and their heads kind of moved.
For the time that first episode was made, they looked great.
Yes, they do look very good for for it being the 60s, but I get why you need to upgrade them when
Right.
you can't, you couldn't use the same costume and have them standing next to Saru.
No, that's true.
Also, I think the materials people use now are safer for the actors than the materials used in the 60s.
That's probably true. But if you look at their costumes compared to, I guess, Doctor Who would really have only been their competition at the time. They look pretty stinking good.
Yeah. I mean, nothing has a plunger.
Yes, exactly.
I love Doctor Who, but the Daleks are ridiculous.
They're going to take over the world with their little plunger arm.
Yeah.
I love it too, but the Weeping Angels are more my speed. Mm-hmm. So Pike and Tyler find a probe from the future, and I'm still not entirely clear on how it got there.
I know it's their probe, and I think it basically went through a time rift thing and came back. So I assume the idea is it went to a future where control already existed and then came back.
I wonder if we're going to see the other side of that in season 3.
That would be really interesting.
Are we going to actually watch them get the probe and, turn it into a weapon before they send it back?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
It would be interesting.
Maybe they just see it and neither of the people who had to deal with it were there. So,
It's true. Hey, there's our probe. Oh, well, I guess it all worked out in the end.
yeah. I guess Stamets had to deal with it for a second, but they're like, sorry, Pike, sorry.
I wonder, it would be cool if it made sort of a cameo in season 3. They're walking through some sort of room in Control, and they look over and it's just sitting there kind of like in storage on a heap in a pile because Control hasn't figured out what to do with it yet, and it's time, so it doesn't matter. They're not in a hurry or anything. They can send it back anytime. So it's just going to be sitting in the back of some set, and it'll be like this little Easter egg, and we'll be like, there's their little probe. It's an idea.
Yeah, and then the probe hacks Arium, right? That's how she gets hacked,
the
right?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Red eyes popping up on a character when they don't usually have red eyes. Never a good sign.
No. they're not gonna get better from there. So Michael finds Spock, and we find out he has a learning challenge as a child. They don't really completely explain what it was. It sounds like it's something like dyslexia that caused him to write those coordinates backwards.
Although later he says something like, I had dyslexia, and he uses the word.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like in a later episode, because I noticed later. So I thought maybe he does have dyslexia because he's part human, and then the Vulcans were calling it something else because like they have a Vulcan equivalent that's similar.
Yes.
That's possible.
But I actually really liked that the idea of Spock having a learning disability. Like, I have ADHD, so I was like, I like that like a hero of mine, like Big, has one, like has a learning disability, especially because mine in TV, in movies, only comes up with people being addicted to Ritalin.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's an actual thing, but okay.
Yeah, fiction doesn't always handle these things very well.
But I liked the end that it's like his learning disability is something that like helps him. It's not just a bad thing.
Right. And they actually made it a really neat reveal in that episode. So then they set off for Talos 4. Telosians heal Spock's mind. We finally see what Michael did. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I know we kind of touched on it earlier.
I really like, even though I think that scene, like, I think we were saying that like it probably, if someone with more emotional like capacity than Spock probably could have dealt with it.
Right.
But I really like how it was filmed, where it would like cut between the adult and child actors.
That
for
was
them.
very artistic. I thought so too.
Watching adult Burnham having to say the lines again, and you could tell how like hurt she was by having to say them again, was like it's really well acted. Like.
I think the scenes works very well because of that, because they used child actors to make the scene, and it's very powerful.
Yeah, and there was like one scene where it's like adult Burnham is having to say one like nasty thing to child Spock, and you're like,
that it's painful.
Because like I think it makes it seem like why. Because if it's just a child saying it, you're just like, oh, you're a kid, it's fine. An adult remembering that they said that to someone they love once is like, yeah, I get why you're in pain from that.
And his sweet little innocent face receiving that.
Baby
from her.
Spock is so cute.
He is. With these big round eyes.
And I was just like, I want to protect you from everything.
Yeah. So then Control sends the virus. So Arium's infected. They decide to use Burnham as bait for the Red Angel. We come to find out it's her mother.
Yes.
That I was really surprised by, because and they even hinted at it before. We were all convinced, like, oh, it's going to be Michael, and someone was Michael's mom. It was like I think the perfect twist is you get close, but you don't quite hit it on the head. Because like a twist still, if a plot twist comes out of nowhere because it doesn't make sense, it's not a good plot twist.
That's true.
But it being her mother and being like, oh, yeah, it would still be super focused on her.
Yeah, because they had that DNA link, right? That's why they thought it was Michael. Yeah. I definitely was not expecting it to be her mother.
Also, that actress is really good, and they cast an actress that looked like Sonequa Martin. Like, I could really be like, I believe they are mother and daughter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that part was that was kind of hard to watch too. There are a lot of sort of heavy emotional scenes in this season.
It's interesting because I remember the season being so fun, and I was just like, oh yeah, there are some tear triggers.
Yeah, there's some heavy scenes here.
Also, when her mother appears, she's like, she doesn't care anymore about anything. Even she doesn't care about her daughter. She saw the future and she knows it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
That's very powerful too.
I think, there's nothing quite as bleak as watching a character be like, I saw the future and I don't care anymore.
I think that's what makes it so painful is watching Michael, because she's longed for this relationship for so long. And then to get that out of it was not what you wanted for her. So then Leland is attacked in a rather graphic way.
Very painful.
Yeah. So not for children on that episode.
No, that's one of the scenes. Like, if they ever while they're airing season 1 on CBS right now, if they ever air season 2, I was like, can they include that
I don't know.
on TV, on broadcast television?
I would imagine it has to get edited somehow,
Yeah.
and they'll put the little warning up before that episode begins.
I was like, this episode has to air after 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we find out more about Burnham's backstory, her parents and the Klingons.
I think it was interesting learning backstory that even Burnham didn't know.
Yeah, because though you think she knows it, but there's missing pieces there.
Which I think was a good way to do it, because before you would be like, well, why, for anything else, it'd be like, well, why didn't Burnham mention it? And you're like, no, she believes the lies your parents tell you.
Right.
Version of the story.
Right. And then there's a really cool fight scene.
Yes, that any of the fight scenes that have Michelle Yeoh in them are so good.
Yeah.
They really take advantage of how talented she is at martial arts, and I love it.
Yes. Then we have episode where Pike goes to a monastery and he meets Laurel and Tyler's baby, who is now not a baby.
Fully grown man.
A fully grown man.
I knew kids grew up fast in Star Trek, but wow.
And Michael and
Spock.
yes, and so they meet Cameron Gant, who is possessed by control.
There's a really good turn when you realize he's being controlled by control.
Right.
It's really good. It's really creepy.
It really is. It's really disturbing, honestly.
Although you can't tell it's a character that hasn't been around in a second, because when you see him, you have Michael flash back to a scene from season 1 to be like, here's who this is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well,
I did appreciate that, because I remember looking at his face. I remember looking at his face and I was like, is he familiar, or have I just seen that actor in a commercial?
It's true. Yeah, the flashback was good. And even though I binged both seasons back to back, I did also not remember who he was. So it was definitely needed, that little flashback. But it was good that they did find somebody who was in those, just for continuity's sake, that they didn't throw in some crew member that was never actually in the episode.
To be fair, they could, what if they just created a flashback and just put somebody there?
Have we checked the IMDb and see if he's in that first episode? So then we're already at the finale. Burnham sets out these signals with Spock, and the Klingons show back up again. There's this whole scene where Discovery is being controlled. They're going to leave and they're all going to evacuate over to the Enterprise, but it's too late. And
yeah. I just want to say that I really liked that Pike discovering his future ahead of time and choosing it, because I think it makes him even braver than you realized he was.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm really glad he has a medal named after him.
Also, I have the feeling that he discussed his future with Cornwall.
Yeah, I don't she has a hint that something's up.
They didn't tell us, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, because they had that scene, who's going to be the one to move the big torpedo missile thing.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like, well, I can't die here because I
really thought he was going to, I thought he was going to do it. So then they decide they're going to jump into the future, and they're splitting up the crew, who goes where, and Ash Tyler typically is not going along.
He just doesn't go with them at the end of seasons. This time seems a little more permanent, though. Yeah. That Ash has a character I really enjoy, but I could tell they didn't quite know what to do with him in season 2.
He's kind of floundering around because he's doing the Klingon thing, and then he's doing the Section 31 thing, and then you think he's going to do the Discovery thing, and then he's like, nope, I'll stay here.
Yeah. Well, I think, the reason he gives is, I'm going to be the one to make sure they don't try to build control again.
Right.
Which, I do get.
Yeah, he's not worthy of Michael. So it's okay that he stayed behind.
Yeah. I love this season so much. I will say, I love season 1 a lot, but I feel like more episodes of season 2 stand out for me than season 1.
Yeah, I think so
where
too.
I like remember the episode as opposed to like, oh yeah, that scene was cool, or like that arc was cool.
I feel like it kept me guessing more than season 1. Spent more time between episodes wondering, what was going to happen. And
Yeah.
just it kept the mystery going all season long.
Part of this is because season 2 just aired straight through, where season 1 was like broken up into 2 blocks. And like, I think just sticking to one overarching story as opposed to like season 1 definitely has like, we're dealing with the Klingon War and then we're dealing with Mirror Universe. We have to go back and deal with the Klingon War again. Like, I think it kept its pace faster. Just having this one mystery, it was all tying in to like that one thing.
Right. And not that they didn't, because they had their cake and ate it too, in that they had mini adventures, like going to the planet with the people who were there pre-warp, who had been rescued.
Yeah, the Red Angel rescued them.
The Red Angel.
Yes.
It'd be interesting. I haven't seen any I don't think I've seen any casting news whether Dr. Burnham will be in the new season.
It's a good question.
So far, she didn't.
But I'm just like, they went into the future and she's in the future, right?
Right. Yeah, I've been kind of wondering that too.
Yes.
Like, her performance was so good.
Right. Do we know exactly where she jumped back to as opposed to where they jumped to?
Location-wise, no.
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 So that remains to be seen.
Another thing at the end of season 2, even though like I knew it was inevitable that Spock would not be able to yeet himself into the future with everybody else, it was so sad the moment they realized it, and they realized like they won't like see each other again. Oh, heartbreaking.
It is. But I mean, are we sure they're going to stay in the future forever?
That's a big question.
I mean, we don't, but the characters definitely thought that they will never see each other again.
They did, yeah.
I guess the main thing is the fact that no one brings the spore drive ever again is a good indication that maybe they do stay in the future.
I love that part where Pike tells number 1, let's not do like the holograms anymore.
It's like, they're creepy, no thanks.
Yeah. It's like, that's what happened to our holograms.
They keep trying, like this. I feel like the second series where they tried to do the holograms as the communication form, we're like, nah, never mind. Because they do it for like a couple episodes of Deep Space Nine, and they're like, nah.
In a way, it was one of the things that made me feel like Discovery was like Star Wars, because they always have the holograms to communicate in that one too. So
I think that's like why it would always felt off when like there would be holograms. I'd be like, this is the wrong sci-fi franchise.
Right. They do work to keep themselves separate, keep themselves apart.
I guess. Were you surprised when they yeeted themselves into the future? Is the thing.
I felt like they had to do something to get out of the timeline so that it would fit with the original Trek.
Yeah.
So I wasn't actually surprised. And even though I wasn't surprised, and I know Spock has to be where they left him, I still wanted him to go.
I know. I was like, can you like clone Spock or something? Have two. One can go with them.
Right.
And be on Discovery.
It's like when they gave Rose Tyler the 10th Doctor to stay with her and also sent him off on his own. Is there a way to split them up?
This is like really mitigated now, but at the time I was like, I get they all had to stay behind, but I was like really sad that like Spock, Pike, and number 1 wouldn't be in the next season. But now they have their own show.
Yeah, so it's a win. I think, when I saw it the first time, though, I was kind of thinking they could go have a season in the future and then come back at the end of the season and deliver Spock right where he needs to go, like it never happened.
Yeah. Something where they like bring Spock with them and realize they're like something in the timeline is like really messed up because Spock isn't there. And choose an event. Spock was at a lot of them. So... And then they're like, well, Spock has to go back.
Yeah, it's sci-fi. Really, they could have done whatever they wanted.
If they did that, they will have like 2 years of angry fans complaining and complaining.
That is so true. I was like, is having more Spock on Discovery worth having to watch people complain about having it?
The trade-off would have been worth it for me. But I feel like a certain segment of the fans, unfortunately, you'll never be able to please.
I think they have to do the best they can, tell great stories and not care about the fans.
Yeah. And I do appreciate that they brought it into this modern era, because I don't think that, like, for example, I tried to get my husband into watching Next Generation a few years ago, and it was really dated. And it just wasn't going to happen. We watched, I think, 3 episodes. And those first episodes of Next Generation are not their best.
I have a list especially for the first 2 seasons of Next Gen, and I was like, skip these ones.
Right. So,
and it starts with the 3rd episode of Next Generation, which is racist. Like, I was like, don't watch it. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, we got 3 episodes in, and I was like, I'm sorry, this was better when I was a kid, and we stopped. And we didn't pick it up again until Discovery, and then it was super easy, and he was into it right away. So I think it was good that they did it, even though some fans didn't like it. They brought in new fans with Discovery that they would not have picked up by imitating that kind of old-fashioned style.
Yeah.
They had to evolve.
Also, TV also isn't like 22 episodes, like hour-long shows anymore. That it's not, it has to be tighter now. Like, it can't just be like, and we're going to have a weird character piece because we ran out of money. Like,
that's true.
No one now is going to let a TV show end the season with a clip show.
Oh, that was great.
It's true. Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of this Discotech podcast. And next week, we will be discussing more about what we're excited about for season 3. So everything.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for? Who are you hoping to see? All your hopes and dreams. Bring them.
All right.
All right. See you guys then.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.